working.
Okay.
Perfectly timed, 1900 hours in the UK. Annie, it's lovely to see you, my love. And I hope you don't mind me calling you my love, because some people get uppity when I call them my love, and I don't care.
Well, I don't care that you don't care.
No. And I don't care, because that's who I am. And I never mean to cause anybody any offense, but as soon as I open me gob, right, gob for anybody in a different country, in the UK means mouth. As soon as I open my mouth, it causes murder in some some places. But Annie Bongo, or to give you your full title, Anne Lloyd, how you doing?
That's me. That's me. And do you know what? I'm really, really good. Amazingly excited to be speaking to you. We first spoke about doing this quite a while ago, and it was like knees knocking and, oh my God, I can't possibly go live to the nation. And just a few things recently, particularly watching some of the people you're connecting with, and it's just well enough inside me to come and say hello and talk to you and yeah, join in with the big conscious party.
That's great. And just forgive me while 1 second, I'll just see now if this is coming up on my phone, because sometimes, there we are, we're there. Shanine's here, Gail's here, Laurie's here. Oh, it's nice. All my favorite people in the world are coming to listen to this, and so let's try and give them something to think about, shall we? Because
yeah,
I have to. I'm going to do a Scylla now, you know, for anybody, because we're in Merseyside and Liverpool.
What's your name? Where'd you come from?
Yeah, what's your name and where'd you come from? Number two. I always say number two. They say, why'd you say number two? I say, I'll tell you that later. Right. Go on, love, fire away.
I do have a confession to make, actually. I did go and audition for that a long time ago in Liverpool, but they didn't want me, so there you go. That's a completely different lifetime. Who am I? Right, I'm Annie Lloyd, Annie Bongo, and I'm from the Wirral, mainly Wallasey, but out in North Wales at the moment. Yeah, part of the Wallasey crew, part of the St. Joey's Seacombe crew, and just undergoing lots of different things on my journey. And yeah, I really want to talk to people about them. I really want to talk to you about some different things. And yeah, just yeah, life's difficult and we're trying to navigate a really crazy time, and I just want to sort of like share what I'm doing within that. Not that that's gonna help anyone else, because it only just about helps me, but you know, just yeah, partake in the conversation, because it's really important that we support each other. It's really important that we converse and join together in this, yeah, absolutely bonkers time. And that's
so the Seacombe connection, eh? So we were both born and brought up in Seacombe, right? Which is, for anybody who doesn't know, it's a reasonably quite impoverished area. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've got to say, I was in Egremont for a bit, so you know, I was a little bit posher than that. Oh. But we downgraded as time went by.
Right. Yeah, but you know, so Egremont and Seacombe, you know, I think they're on the rise myself, you know, because the way I see things, and I don't mean to upset anybody, but I think that the way the world's going to turn around is really from the salt of the earth, I think, more than anything else. Right. And I think, you know, it's got to start from really the bottom, and it works from the bottom up and from inside out, because I think the way I sort of feel things is there needed to be some sort of disintegration of systems and societies and things. So, you know, I've studied a lot of what's called Vedic philosophy for a long time. It's like yogic philosophy, and it's over 5,000 years of age. And they almost like prophesied or predicted what we're going through now. And just for people who don't know, the yoga philosophy that I study, it talks about cycles of change, you know, and every sort of so often in thousands upon millions and millions of years, there's great big astrological changes taking place. And these are called yugas, or cycles, or epochs of time. I won't spend too long on this lecturing, but just to say that we're probably at the worst point that humanity can be. It's called the Kali Yuga, and it's basically an age of destruction. But we're on the way up now, apparently, and we're on and back on the road to what's called the Golden Age, or the Satya Yuga. Now, Annie, I used to look at this stuff and think, what a load of old bollocks, what a load of nonsense, But like everything else, over time, my mind's changed, and I see now that this fits perfectly in with my personal lived experience now. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm like everybody else. I'm just learning. I've got no idea what's going on most of the time, and that's the truth. But I'm just sort of feeling my way. And you used a nice word. I'm navigating my way through this lunacy, right? But from my heart now, not from my head. I'm not trying to work anything out here. If I don't know, I just let everything sink into my heart. And I almost like say to my heart, will you give us a clue? What do you want me to do? And which direction do you want me to go in? And that's held me in good stead now for over nearly 35 years, And I, in myself, I feel well. I feel emotionally calm most of the time. And I feel really, really sharp and clear-minded. And over to you, old chap.
I think it's really important what you say around taking that step back and sort of coming from your heart, because what we're taught is if something's going wrong, to sort of jump in and be the solution and fix it, and that's I think where a lot of our anxiety is coming from these days. And it's only in recent years that I've found, okay, I'm not going to partake in the lunacy. I need to separate myself from that. Otherwise, I just add to it and add my anxiety into the madness. And it gets worse. It sort of like makes it bigger, makes it scarier, brings all that fear in, and I don't get anywhere. So yeah, I almost have to, and this is what's possibly happened in my life, is I've had to sort of like be slapped in the face, or sort of set back, knocked off my feet, to go, no, stand back for a moment and observe what's going on so you can understand. And then we can maybe look for solutions. And the solution might be stop participating in this. Step back, shut your mouth, and stop doing this. So yeah, I come from a place of chronic illness. When I was 26 and living at large at university, I suddenly was in a car crash and sort of struck down by the amazing non-disease that is ME and chronic fatigue syndrome. And it just, I pushed and pushed and pushed. I worked and worked and worked when I could, and it just made it worse. They're trying really hard. They're trying to do exercise and that sort of thing. Just made everything worse for me. And I had to fall apart to be able to see what was right in front of me and see what was going to help. And that's where my journey into the woo-woo began, because I was at home only conversing with people in Facebook groups that had chronic illness. Yeah. And I started going, oh, I can't speak to you online today because I can't get out of bed. I can't do all these other things. And people started sending me Reiki. And I was like, oh my God, what's this? What's this magic? What's this spellery, wizardry or whatever? And that's where it all started for me. And, when you talk about mindfulness, it just keeps coming back to that, about being in the moment and stopping myself from fighting the madness. And it's changed everything for me, and it changes, and I don't think it's ever going to stop, because every day I wake up with a little bit more information, with a little bit more inspiration from other people, and every day is different. Every day I learn something new, and yeah, it's brought me to this point. After around about 22 years just thinking I couldn't do anything and just existing day to day, and not wanting to exist every day, which is the hardest part of that. And, you know, finding your own way, finding the things that you're good at, is so important. And I want to be able to share that journey with people, because people see me as being very upbeat, very you know, sometimes bossy, you know, very fun and outgoing, and I'm not that person. You know, that's me standing up and going, oh, I've got to participate, I've got to do better for myself, and that's what gets me up every day, because it's easy not to get up every day. It's very easy, and you know, and it's got to change. And I know so many people out there are struggling with this, are struggling with chronic pain, chronic illness, and there's loads of hope, but it's all inside yourself. It's you that's got to do it. You've just got to understand how your mind works, how your soul works, and to have faith in yourself, because you can actually do that. You know, none of us healers are here to heal everybody. We're here to show people what they can do to activate that healing within themselves. And I absolutely love doing that. So that's why I'm here today talking to you as well.
Fantastic. I couldn't have put it better myself, because healers don't heal. Healers just sort of help people to reconnect with their own healing mechanisms, really. I see that, you know, and I think if people become sort of stuck to a healer, something's going wrong there, really. Because, you know, I see people a couple of times and I say, right, you've got it now. You know, the connection's reconnected now, off you go. And if you want to find out any answers, they're within you, right? You know, by all means, listen to what other people have got to say, but in the end, put all the information in your heart and allow the heart to direct you through life now, you know. And people say, well, I don't know what you're talking about and all that. And, you know, most of my jobs now is about neuroscience, really. And what I've done is I'm sort of spreading the message in academic circles to bring in the neuroscience of mindfulness. And in another way, it's just about being more objective about our own subjectivity. And I was born a sensitive, you know. In the old days, when I was born in 1955, you know, my nan, who used to read tea leaves, you know, she was a psychic, and so was my mother, you know, very emotionally sensitive, right? And I was born as sensitive, you know, and I'm like you. People see me as very personable. I'm very outgoing, and I get on the stage and I'm like the showman. But, you know, in truth, I love my own company. I love solitude. I love being by myself. Right. And that's the way I am, you know. And I used to hang around people thinking I've got to try and be more sociable here and all that, you know. And what used to do for me was to get as pissed as I could. Right. And then I became the life and soul of the party then, you know, and I do some weird and wacky things and some terrible things as well. But I realized that what the drink was doing, it was disinhibiting me, really. And it was it was de-obstructing me from me conscience, really. Because I used to wake up the next morning and think, oh my God, and there'd be like a trail of destruction, you know. And so I've learned a lot about myself. And like you, I tried to kill myself 3 times really, really properly, right? And I even failed at that as well, you know, so I was a complete failure, you know. And put it this way, I should never have a headache for the rest of my life, you know what I mean? But something on the 3rd attempt, right, something happened to me that I can't explain. But, you know, there are words to describe it, like the peace that passeth all understanding descended upon me, you know, and I got everything stopped, you know, time stood still. And for a split second, see, this is what happens to me. And I do say this to people now, is when I'm on the right path, I get like a big going up my spine, you know, and I get like a tingly feeling. So that's nice, almost like,
nice,
you know,
activation.
Yeah. So it's a bit like, you know, I call it Kundalini, a Kundalini activation. I'm having one now, but it's like
Love it.
It's like a knee trembler. It starts from my feet, it comes up my legs, up my spine, and out the top of my head, you know. And I know now that that's like an indication of, right, I'm on the right path, just keep going, but not for too long. Give somebody else a chance to speak, you know. But the peace that passeth all understanding, it descended upon me, and I understood everything. And I even saw a mathematical sort of thing in the sky that I understood how the whole universe was created, you know. And I can sort of remember saying, leave this here, I understand everything. And as soon as I said that, it went, you know. But in that process, I got a feeling that I was turned around, you know, and I was sort of said, son, you signed up for this, you know, this is your soul's purpose. You had to go through all this sort of stuff that you've gone through. And now we're going to show you step by step. So if you keep close to us, I don't know what this us is that's talking to me, and I haven't found out, but I'm not bothered. You know, I know what it feels like. So you have to listen to us, keep close to us, and we will guide you one step at a time through the process. And people will say, do you remember that nutter, you know, the local pisshead, right? And you know, look out, he's changed now. And people come up to me and say, Christ, Joe, you've changed so much. How are you doing it? And I just say to them, I got out of me head and back into me heart. And they go, well, what do you mean by that? And then if they're scientifically inclined, I explain to them, mostly boring them really, but how the heart works, how the nervous system works, how the brain works, and I go on from there, you know. But just to finish this bit of the story is, through the process, people introduced me to non-medical interventions. And because I was a biomedical scientist, I needed scientific credibility and proof. And the stuff they were talking about at the time didn't have any. And somebody said to me, you want to try that Reiki, right? They called it Reiki. A lot of people call it Reiki. You want to try that Reiki? I've had that and it's really good. And I can remember saying, no, that won't work for me. And what they said to me was, did it work for you the last time you tried it? And I said, no, I've never tried it. And he went, do us a favor, right? Don't knock it till you've tried it, right? And I sat in this chair, right? And Reiki was applied to me, changed my life. It was another one of those kick up the arse, right? To say, you see, you don't know what you're talking about, smart arse, right? So I did that. And then that led me then from science into these healing arts, you know. And for the last 35, 40 years, I've practiced them. I've become sort of okay at them. I can do them, a practitioner. And I've also looked at the scientific side. And where I'm up to now is it's all become physics to me. It's all to do with physics. I'm not a religious person, right? But I am a scientist. And what's going on with physics now, especially quantum physics, it makes perfect sense to me that there's different dimensions of energy, frequency, and vibration that we can tap into, and it can guide us through all this crap that's going on. Over to you, Annie.
Okie dokie. Yeah, totally agree. My awakening came from, as I say, years of this chronic illness. And I went somewhere that I didn't particularly want. So in my heart, I didn't want to go. And it was it was a bunch of friends. We were going to Poland. You may be able to work out where it was. No, you come in. We've booked a day trip. That's where we're going. And all through my life since being a child, I was the crybaby. I was the hypochondriac. I was all of these things, and not knowing what, because there's nobody sensitive within my family. There was nobody who had sort of any gifts that I was aware of. And I was now, don't know, it was about I was quite old. I was about 40, I think I was, possibly. Anyway, we go off to Krakow and we go to Auschwitz. And then all of a sudden, I have this devastating experience that made me realize that I was an empath, because I couldn't be in that place without feeling so much stuff. And I sat, there's like, I don't know if people have been, but there's like little streets. It's like a little town. And there were roadways and curbs. I had to come out of a building. I sat on the curb and I sobbed uncontrollably for about 20 minutes before I could actually pull myself back together. And then I had to ask, and they were a bit freaked out by it, if I could go and sit on the minibus and not go on the next bit, because I couldn't be in there. I couldn't be within the energy. And then I sort of came back and researched what had happened to me. Why would that happen to me? Found out about empaths. I had a few people who were spiritually minded, and they were like, yeah, that's what that is. It's this, it's that. Then people started, I started talking, being more open, talking to people, realizing that so many of my symptoms weren't even mine. And I'm like, almost can't get out of bed. I had my wheelchair delivered at one point when I was housebound. I couldn't do, so I was so disabled, and lots of this stuff wasn't mine because I needed to learn how to protect myself. And so that was just the opening for me. Again, had Reiki sent to me. Then I woke up one morning, and I think we have these stages. So first of all, we know nothing, and then we know a tiny bit, and then we do something and it opens a new door for us. So mine was having Reiki, receiving Reiki. And then I would wake up, or I tend to wake up in the morning with solutions to stuff or ideas. And I'll wake up and I'll go, oh, I need to become a Reiki practitioner. That's what I woke up with one morning, and spoke to my mum. And she said, oh, well, start researching, find yourself a teacher. Oh, no, the teacher will find me. Yeah. And she looked at me and went, oh. Sort of thing, off you went. And, right on form, the teacher found me. I went for a psychic reading, and, this guy went through and went, oh, you should be here, like they do. You should be a healer. You've got the energy and all this. I went, yeah, I'm gonna, I'm interested in Reiki. Anyway, I'll teach you. And I went, oh, okay. And that was it, done deal. And then once I was attuned to Reiki, and I'm not a massive people person. Too many people overwhelm me. And so I started doing Reiki on dogs. Because one thing was, I think if you have a human talking to you and they are skeptical, sometimes their skepticism gets in the way and they kind of refuse to allow themselves to be helped, or just refuse to admit it. When I was working with these dogs and I started going to the local kennels, and the dogs weren't in a great way, and it was really obvious to me, because I need convincing of this stuff as well. And these dogs would go, oh my God, I'm suddenly not stressed out anymore. I'm not pulling my fur out anymore. And they were getting adopted. And so that for me was amazing. But I did the level 1 and did level 2. And then I'd do a new stage and I'd fall apart again. And it was like, well, what's happening? And I think that, people don't realize that this is a never-ending journey. When we're doing spiritual things, when we're learning new techniques, and we've got to keep looking for things, because, and this is where the Ikigai is going to come in, because eventually if we keep going, if we step out, because sometimes it's really rocky, sometimes it makes us have our next breakthrough. We don't like saying the breakdown word, do we? But it brings us to our next stage, and it's not all sunshine and smiles. It's not all pink and fluffy, and you've got to get over quite a lot of hurdles, but you've got to keep going until you reach the point. And I don't know if we're ever all going to reach that point, but we've got to keep going, because there's something in this that we've got to get to, that we're supposed to be doing, that we're here for. And going back to your soul contract, I have a friend who talks about it, and she says, we sign up to these crazy things when we're all ecstatic up in the heavens, or up with source, and we're all having a laugh one day going, do you dare me? Do you dare me to go and do that, to pick this lifetime? And we've picked all this stuff. We've picked the trauma to come into. We've picked the families. We've picked the experiences. And it's up to us to meet those challenges and to find out what we're here for. And we've got to keep trying until we find it. And hopefully that's what all of us are doing at the moment, all of us on this spiritual journey. But you know, please don't stop until you're finding your Ikigai. And I'm gonna lead straight over back to you.
So this word's come up a bit now, Ikigai. I was introduced to Ikigai over 20 years ago. It's a Japanese word, and it essentially means how to find all your true purpose, what gives you life, what gives you spirit, what gives you enthusiasm. I'd just like to say that, you know, I know a switch came to me when I realized that I wasn't a human being having a spiritual experience. I was actually a spirit in a human body. You know, I just felt the change, right? And I could feel, you know, when Reiki comes through and the healing comes through, you can start to feel it pouring through you and sort of radiate through your body and stuff like that. And I agree entirely. You know, to me, I see it, to use these words, it sounds religious, but I'm not religious, very irreligious, actually, couldn't be further from the truth. But, you know, it's the eternal progress of the soul. You know, I think that that's why we're here. And what I've learned more than anything else is I've learned that if I'm feeling emotionally disturbed, there's a lesson I need to learn, you know, and these are just the way I explain it. And so if I've got an emotional disturbance, it's basically an obstruction to the free flow of spiritual energy in my body. And that's why you mentioned chronic myalgic encephalomyelitis, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. It's almost as if the lessons are actually sort of crystallized in our physical body. And we have to allow spirit to come in, give us a nudge to say, look, you're irritated now, you can feel pain. That's because of a deep-seated attitude that you've got in your unconscious. Now, lots of people don't want to hear this, you know, because sensitives and empaths are the worst in the world, right? They become narcissists, control freak, whinge bag. How do I know? Because that's where I was since I was a child, right? They become control freaks. They try and manipulate the external environment so that they can feel comfortable. You know what I mean? And then you meet somebody like us now, right, who says, no, that's all about you. And they say, this is a program to help you to get over yourself and stop whinging. They go, oh, you've just upset me, right, by the words you've used, right? I say, no, you've allowed that upset, right? Someone said this to me and I wanted to stab him in the heart, you know, because I've used this sensitivity and I'm so sensitive. I'm a romantic. I'm all this sort of stuff, you know, right? And he said to me, it's just bollocks. You're just egocentric. And I said, I beg your pardon. Don't you know who I am? Right? He said, I don't even think you know who you are. So shall we start to help you to find out who you are and to find your Ikigai, right? Because once you find that, you'll find your, here it comes. Once you find that, you'll find your essential self. You'll discover your true purpose in life, which is basically to help yourself and help others as well, you selfish bastard. And you know what? I left that place with a completely different outlook. Somebody needed to tell me straight. They had to save themselves the trouble, right, of worrying about what I thought about them, and they just give it me straight. And what I learned from that was there's 3 phases that I was going through. There was the sympathy phase where I could understand people's feelings, but only with me head. Then empathy, so that was cold-hearted. Then empathy, warm-hearted, where you can feel other people's feelings, but you can't detach from them. And then there's the 3rd stage, which is cool, calm, and collected, and that's called compassion. And that's when you are detached with love. It doesn't mean to say that you can't feel it, but you don't attach to it, but you remain in awareness of what an individual's going through, you know. And most of the time now, people think I couldn't give a hoot. Couldn't be further from the truth, because you know what it's like, Annie, you feel it, and then you've got to breathe it away, stay detached from it, and then you get clarity then on how you might be able to help them, you know. And I didn't want to hear any of this, but it's true, you know. And I drank because of my empathy and my emotional neediness, you know. They say, you know, empaths are great lovers. They're not. Here's another one. I'm going to get barred for this.
They're hanging on to your ankle, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. They say they're not lovers. They're like prison guards. They don't take the. empaths take prisoners, you know what I mean, for that very reason, because they suck onto people. Oh, this person will make me feel better, and they're all trying to escape, you know. Maybe I shouldn't be laughing about this, but I look back. I'm only talking about myself now, but I look back and it's like hilarious to me now, you know. But I like to have a laugh and a joke, lots of the time at other people's expense, because I just enjoy it, you know.
And why not?
But, yeah. But there I'm up to. This is about energy. It's about energy. It's about frequency. It's about vibrations, you know. And I don't wholeheartedly agree with you. We've got to go into a higher vibration, because some people need to come down into a lower vibration in order to get balance at the level of the heart. So some people have got loads and loads of good ideas, but they're not grounded. Some people are too grounded and they need more high. So to me, this is about almost like a recalibration, right, of different spheres of consciousness. I'm going off on one now, but
no,
you know,
do you know what?
you're
leading directly into something I want to talk about. So carry on.
Okay, well, all I'm saying is that I never know what's going to come out, but I feel that it gets guided. And what I've learned as well is that most people, including myself for a long time, I was just living off instinct and intellect. I had a great big knowledge base about biomedical science and all that, you know, and people used to come to me, and I was doing really well in my career and stuff like that. But about myself, I didn't have any idea. So there's a move that moves, it goes, we get born and we start to live on instinct, and then we develop our intellect. And most people don't get out of that. That's like a 3D thing. But sooner or later, the soul gets activated, and it's starting batting up now against what they call the fourth dimension. So we're into lower hearts, and our soul's saying now we need to go higher now. And that's where most people are on the planet now. In this great shift, the soul's pushing people. It's almost like the light body is embodying itself into the physical body now. And any pain is the touchstone of our recovery. Any pain is an indication of an area of physical that needs to be looked at, but it also represents a deep-seated unconscious obstruction which action needs to be taken on. And that's why you're saying this. People are going through hell at the moment. If they can only understand this and take a step back and get some space so they can look at their own life more clearly, they'll get a much, much better chance to understand what's going on. Over to you, darling.
Definitely. And it's taking that step back and taking that breath, isn't it? And saying, okay, what's actually happening here, instead of being a participant in that. If you can see something from behind, a couple of steps back, you can actually see your periphery. You can see what's going on, and you can see from that different perspective. Because if you're right in the eye of the storm, all you see is things flying past you. And if you come out of the storm, you can actually see where the safety is, or, you know, where the solutions are, or where the off switch is. Because sometimes, you know, the off switch needs to be hit. Most definitely, this about the change in consciousness, and everything you were saying there is leading me to want to talk about one of the things that I'm doing, which is something called Pellowah. And Pellowah is another healing modality which I was drawn to. And I didn't know why. I didn't even know where it came from. All of a sudden, I just knew of a course. I'd never experienced this energy. I just knew a course was running, paid for it, booked on it, went on it. And again, these doors that open, and these were they were like big castle doors. They were absolutely huge doors for me. And Pellowah is an angelic word, which means radical shift in consciousness. And one thing you were just saying is about meeting someone where they are. This is what we say about Pellowah all the time, is that it comes to you in the form that you need it. Okay. And what we say is, we don't try and meet somebody up on their high vibration level, low vibrational level, whatever. This energy meets you where you are. It doesn't matter where you are, because it will it's like your own personal shift You know, it's got nothing to do with me as a healer or a practitioner. It's got to do with the person that it's going to. And one way this has been described is that Pellowah, or the universe, the Pellowah energy, is using the healer, the practitioner, as a musical instrument. And the person that it's going to hears the music. And they hear it the way they're supposed to hear it. So Pellowah uses the healer to deliver the message. And it's probably not explained much. It's probably confused people even more. But I have found, since discovering it, since learning it, and then I've gone off and learned to be a teacher, I know I sit in this, I don't want to do anything else. I sit in this energy, and it is beautiful for me. And it's exactly what I want to do. And going into those 4 pillars of Ikigai, what are you good at? What do you love?
Yeah.
What does the world need? And what can you earn money doing?
Yeah.
All of these things. And I'm like, oh my God, I only learned about Ikigai this week, especially for tonight, I think. And it's like, I found my Ikigai. Well, whether it's just that for right now, but I know that I can sit and I want to make people aware of the stuff that's out there that they can get involved with. And it will call to people. So there will be one person listening to this tonight that'll go, oh my God, I want to know more about that. And if it just translates to that one person, then it's rippling. And it's what I want to do is, at the moment, keep that ripple going, because it will ripple. And it's not, I don't want to say you need it, you need it, you need it. It's not like that. It's people will go, oh, I recognize that that's calling to me. And as soon as it calls to you, you're in, you come in. And yeah, I just want to keep this ripple going and just help people go on the path that they're supposed to go on. Because if they're not aware that the path's there, if I don't put the doorway there for them to walk past, then they're never going to know that it exists. And it's taken me on a whole new phase of this thing about compassion, this thing about meeting somebody exactly where they are and seeing them. So if somebody's in almost like a psychotic break, I need to be compassionate of that and go and meet them within that break. Not say, well, you can't speak to me until you're better, or you can't speak to me when you're upset or anything. I need to go and meet them exactly where they are, because you know what? It's there that they need people to come and be compassionate with them. And I've just got all of it. Yeah, people need us to be there for them, not to fix them, not to do things for them, but to create that safe space and meet them in the place that they need us to meet them. And I just think that's really, really important at the moment. Particularly, I see men not having or not being brave enough to get into a space where somebody will do that for them, because it's not being spoken in their language. So do you get what I mean there?
Yeah,
it's almost like when women are all doing all the healing, and this industry is absolutely swamped with women, it's all in women's language, and it's all beautiful and pink and fluffy and angels and feathers, and I don't think men communicate with those words or in those spheres. So we need to start meeting men where we need to meet them, because men are awakening as well, and they think they're having real mental health issues, and they're awakening, and we need to meet the men in a language that they understand. And really, really important for me. All the fun's gone out of me now because I'm getting really serious about it. And but it's very, very important to me because I see so many men struggling, and they haven't got the circles to give them that support and meet them where they need to be. And as a man, back over to you.
Well, I'm only a man physically because I'm more inclined feminine wise. You know, I call myself gay from the waist up, you know, because my bottom half works like a male, but my top half is very feminine, you know, and it's almost like a balance, to be quite honest with you, you know, and I'm happy with that. You know, I'm supremely sensitive on my top half, and I'm not going to say anything about my bottom half, but you know, you're right. You know, they call me Dr. Effin Joe, and I was told a long time as Joe, you've got to talk in the language of the people, right? You know, and, you know, so that's called colloquial or colloquial language. And I went to university, and my PhD professor said to me, if you want to get anywhere in this field, young man, you'll have to stop that colloquial talk. Well, I had to go and look up what does colloquial mean. And it basically slang, you know what I mean? So I tried, you know, hello, how are you? My name's so-and-so, and this is the present. And I got that tense and nearly went back on the piss, you know. So I've decided I'm from Seacombe, right, which is in Merseyside, which is closer to the Liver building than most people in Liverpool side, you know. So in Seacombe, we're dead close to Liverpool, you know. There's just that small matter of the River Mersey that separates us, you know. But this is the way I talk, you know, and I found that if I do this, right, I don't have to pretend, I don't have to put any posh words on or anything like that. But more people say to me, you know, he's a doctor, you know, they say he's a doctor, then listen to him, you know, and all that sort of business, you know. So it helps me just to be myself, because I was so pretentious, only because I thought that was the way to get on, you know. And I got told quite clearly by spirit, whatever that means, you know, the feelings that I get, sometimes words come and stuff like that, is just be yourself, right? And that thingy that you're talking about is just sitting there with somebody. What I've been shown is sometimes there are people who are so head dominated that we get used to discover chinks in their armor, right? They're the academics, you know. So sometimes I have to almost be tough with them to say, basically, and how's that working for you? You know, and they go, you know, and then if they come out with all these sort of psychological theories, I can battle them with that as well. And then there's the person who's angry and frightened and a big bodybuilder who wants to kick off. I can just sit with them and say, what's the matter with you? What are you doing? Tell them a joke. And then, you know, they look at you to say, what's up with him? He's not bothered, you know. So I know exactly what you mean. I'm okay because I hand my will and my life over to the care of spirit every single day. And I say, use me in whatever way you see is you know, needed, right? And I don't try and work out there. I don't prepare anything. I just go along my day. And if I bump into somebody, I sort of get a bump, you know, we're using you. Oh, okay then. And what comes out of me gob is more of a surprise to me than anything else, you know what I mean? So that's where I'm up to more than anything else is. I don't know what's going on, but I trust wholeheartedly me whole heart, you know. And, you know, things like I've learned, like you know, I'm a qualified remedial massage therapist now. You know, I teach Indian head massage. I'm a so-called Reiki master. I've been introduced to other sort of, if you like, more refined techniques that take me into a different, more refined state of consciousness, really, and understanding, you know. And so it's like you, what I need to do comes to me. I don't go chasing anything anymore, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not doing it. And well, I am doing it at one level, if you know what I mean, because we're all one in this thing, and it's some sort of aspect of intelligence in me that's guiding me. But I'm not trying to work out my life anymore. I wholeheartedly trust that I get told very clearly, we've got your back. You've got nothing to worry about. Keep going forward. And that's what I do now, you know. And final note for about, you know, people come to me and they say, well, what should I do here? And I'll say, I've got no idea what I should do. Don't be asking me, but I do know, right, so somewhere you can find the answer. And they go, where's that? And I'll go, in there, right? What you're looking for is in there. This is where the madness is. These two sides of your head are battering shit out of each other. The solution is in here. And the thing about a solution is, it dissolves things. So it's going to dissolve all your problems if you just sit long enough and just feel your way through it. Over to you, Anne. See what you can pick out of that, love.
There you go. You reminded me of with that the solution in the dissolving is an experiment that I've seen on, it's like a really old video where they try and explain why trickle down information doesn't work, and I think it's sugar cubes, and what they do is they put in the solution at the bottom where it's widest, and then the pyramid collapses. So I don't know why that's just come to mind when you said the solution and it dissolves, but that's what I see. Things dissolve from the bottom up as well. So I think the world collectively, if we're going to do this, we need to do it down at the bottom where we are. Well, where I am, I'm not saying you're at the bottom, but you know, to sort of like to have the biggest effect is we've got to start the ripple at the bottom, because it's going to reach the most people. And, you know, the more people that come into contact with that compassion and kindness and, you know, sort of love, basically, it's at the end of the day, it's love, isn't it? And it will spread and it will ripple out and it will rise up. And hopefully, you know, be the thing that we all need, because there is really hard things going on in the world, and I don't think in places like the UK have experienced these things so strongly ever before. And we've got to stand up. We've got to stand up and play our part, and hold ourselves together. But at the same time, get up every day and make sure we're okay ourselves, because do you know what? If we're looking after ourselves, then everyone around us can reap the benefits of us and our energy. So let's stop worrying only about other people and get ourselves right. Because if we're balanced, then the things around us balance as well. If we're off, we're going to knock everything near us off as well. So yeah, it's about balance, isn't it? Balance is just going to be so important.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I don't see up and down and left and right and bottom and this, that, and the other. I see global. Everything to me is like a sphere. It's like a globe, you know what I mean? Now, some people might have to fill in north by northwest over there. They may need to take that action. And somebody over here might have to do south by southeast, you know what I mean? So we can't really tell a person, because, you know, that's almost like the Jacob's ladder linear effect, that you've got to get the bottom in before you can climb the ladder. I don't see it like that anymore at all, really. You know, I see that each individual has got a specific action to take on the day if they only listen to what the soul's trying to guide them towards. Something else I got told quite clearly was you've got to unlock the disentangle the knots, if you like, in the sequence that they were laid down, right? So see, there's another thing. So if some sort of person outside of you says you need to work on that now, that can actually obstruct you from what you really need to work on. So we have to rely on this intuition. And how do you do that? You've got to sit quietly long enough to be able to listen to the small little push, the voice. So we have to come away from the distractions, you know, and try and find some quiet space, almost create a sacred space for yourself where you can tune into your innate intuition and guidance. You know, I was saying before, we move from instinct to intellect. Most people never get past that, but they're being forced now to do, or maybe they're being given instructions that might help them, or suggestions. Let's call them suggestions. You know, they're really instructions, so better pay attention, right? You need to find some space for yourself, because you can't give away what you haven't got. But most people do that, you see, because they have ideas. And how do I know? This is what I was like for years. I could sort of see what everybody else needed to do, but I didn't know what I needed to do, you know. So we move from instinct through intellect into intuition, and then your life becomes more inspirational then. And inspire means to breathe in. Inspire, you get inspiration when you breathe in. And that brings us to mindful breathing, because if you can get your mind and your heart in a coherent rhythm with one another, then there's no obstruction then to the information that's coming in. And it really is, Annie, as you know, it's so simple. You just put your hands on your heart like that. You tap on your heart, put your hands on your heart, and imagine that you're breathing a lovely, warm, gentle, caring feeling into your heart. So it's in, 2, 3, 4, 5, stop. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, stop. And my neuroscientific sort of PhD showed how that when you breathe like that, it sends much better messages up to your head. So you can change the way your head works by changing the way your heart works. It's turning cognitive behavioral therapy on its head, because when you're on one, you can't think your way out of it. You just can't. You have to take an action and breathe your way out of it. Just let me say this next bit, because I'm just trying to get this in. You disengage from emotional reactivity by breathing out. It's the out breath that disengages you. And if you keep breathing it away, breathe it away, breathe it away, sooner or later you calm down, your head clears, and you can see better solutions then, you know. And I'll just give you the mantra. You can breathe in the light.
And out the shite.
And breathe out the shit. I'm not going to write a paper on that because it wouldn't get accepted in the circles I move in. But that's basically what you do. You can use the light, you can breathe in, collect all the crap that's in you and breathe it out. And if you practice that for 3 10-minute sessions a day, and you become serious about it, get a quiet space, get a sacred space, make it for yourself, 3 10-minute sessions a day in a month, I swear to you, your whole life will change because you'll see things differently. And this will go back to your psychic change, really. Some people have a gradual educational bit. Some people have a massive shift, and the massive shift goes like this. Oh my God, I never saw that before. That's when you're on the right path.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. One thing you've been talking about recently is the postural stuff, that within balance, and with you talking about the breathing, around the sort of being off balance. I do some work through something called kinesiology, and we have a bone at the base of the skull or the top of the spine called the atlas bone, and it actually allows through all the nerves, all the neural pathways. And a lot of the time within our imbalance in our bodies, chronic illness and chronic pain and that sort of thing, is a lot of the time this atlas bone is out of position. And one of the things, so when you're talking about doing your breathing 3 times a day, one thing you can do really, really simply to try and get your balance back is just by simply nodding your head. And if you nod your head, it suggests 100 times a day. A bit like, brushing your hair, you brush your hair 100 times a day, or you chew 100 times. If you do this nodding, eventually it will start to bring your atlas bone back into balance. And then all these shooting pains that you have in your body, all these imbalances in your own sort of health, can then start to straighten up and be balanced, because a lot of the time it's this bone that's maybe trapping a message, trapping a nerve somewhere. And so just really simple things like breathe, just going back to basics, breathing, moving gently, it all helps getting us back into balance with how we're supposed to be.
Couldn't agree more, love. And things like Tai Chi, Qigong, just gentle stuff, even swimming, not for any to get faster, but just to feel the whole, almost like sort of letting go and the great big sort of expanse. So just floating through life, really, you know what I mean? So there's many things that I've learned, like massage, Tai Chi, yoga, especially Hatha yoga and Yin yoga, where we allow the forces and the flows of nature, right, to sort of reconnect with us, really. And I think more than anything else that's very important, that because gravity, the force of gravity is substantial if your head's out of whack like that, because what happens is the force of gravity is always weighing you down. And then we almost like have to straighten ourselves up and tense our muscles. And we almost like, not only are we emotionally crippled, but our body takes on the shape of our emotional deformities as well. We could go on for a long time. But, you know, this is about self-awareness, and the body responds perfectly to the signals that it receives, right? And you know, there's so much really, but all I'm saying to everybody is this is what worked for me. Whether it'll work for you or not, I don't know, but give it a fair trial. Find a quiet place, put your hands on your heart like that, and almost like say to this inner guide and say, hello, anybody in there? Right? Sometimes you get a feeling, right? Is there anybody in there? I'm not really sure what to do. I'm a bit stuck. I wonder, could you send me some inspiration and intuition that might guide me forward? What have you got to lose? Nothing. And it took me ages. My intellect wouldn't let me do it because my head was saying, what a load of old crap. And in the end, I got that desperate. I thought, I think I'll give that a try. And then my life changed. You know what I mean? So there you go, love. We're coming up to...
Your body tells you, you know, close your eyes. What's going on? Why am I feeling this? And it's the first word that pops into your head usually. You know within your own body. Listen to yourself. Yeah, we are coming to time.
I get that. I get first word that comes into my mind is chocolate. then it's coffee, chocolate, coffee, and I think, oh, okay, yeah, we've been good today. I think I'll treat myself. No. The reason I sort of said we're coming to time is, Annie, how can people get hold of you? Can I suggest that you put your contact details in the comments?
Yeah, I will. I've shared this, but what I'll do is I'll share my own sort of page, the Annie Bongo page, but there's also a Kamala page, which is the name that I go under to do healing in the Pellowah. And so what I'll do is I'll put those links in the comments, most definitely.
No, that's great. And the final question is, because I think I know your brother Jimmy, you know. Yeah. Why?
I thought he was my cousin.
Yeah. Why Bongo? Why Annie Bongo? Why have you called yourself Annie Bongo?
It's fairly new. I've only had it about 18 months, this new name. And it's because I drive a camper van called a Mazda Bongo.
Ah, right.
And within the camper van community, where Volkswagens are the posh camper vans, I am identified as being Annie Bongo because it's me who drives a bongo. And so, yeah, but the Bongo family is getting bigger. And I've got my van is called Ali Bongo because it's named after my dad, Alan. I'm now Annie Bongo, and I've now got a new smart car, which is called Baby Bongo because it looks like a really small version of the one. So yeah, I've got a whole family worth of vehicles and bongos. So I've connected with Jimmy. I'll be speaking to Jimmy soon to find out how we're not related.
Yeah. Oh, he's great, Jimmy. You know, I've only known him recently, but you know, when you just like click with somebody, right? He's become like my best mate, you know, and so we're very good friends. And he's got a big heart, you know. And I found my Ikigai, and somebody described me recently as like a psychopath with a big heart. And I was made up because that's how I see myself, you know what I mean? Because there's part of me that's open and flowing and a healing and all that, but there's a part of me that if you get too close, right? But I think it's there for a reason, for the reason that I said before really is that some people, right, sometimes need a bit of a short, sharp shock, right? Almost like Zen Buddhism, where they used to clack it over the head with a hammer and say, have you got it now, you know? So sometimes I do get used for that, right? And it's never my intention to cause anybody any harm, but some people need to be almost like stopped in their tracks, and they sort of seem to use me for that now for some reason, you know. And if I feel that I'm wrong, you know, and I've done that, I'll go along and I say, look, I'm sorry, I was out of line there or whatever, but I get a sense of, no, you've taken the right action. You've got no idea the implications and where that will help them to understand things, you know. I don't know why I've just said that at the end though.
Well, most of my realizations have been somebody being in that playing with me. It takes somebody to hit me over the head with that hammer, and I go, oh yeah, okay. So it's, you know, it's the way some of us learn, and some of us learn quicker than others.
Yeah, true. I've been a very, very slow learner, and I'm always willing to learn new stuff. I'm always
Absolutely.
scratching the surface, you know. So, Annie, I love you, darling, and thank you so much. And hopefully you'll see you in the flesh soon. And
No worries. Really enjoyed it.
And thanks very much. And thank you, everybody, for listening in. And on that note, Dr. Joe and Annie Bongo signing off. Bye-bye.